getting too old for this. I'm getting too old for this. I'm not a big movie fan, but I kinda grew up with the Lethal Weapon films. I recently rewatched them, and I thought it'd be fun to give my personal take on all four films and have some fun. Try and entertain you in between my personal thoughts. Get in here now! Lethal Weapon, 1987, the original one. All four, of course, were directed by Richard Donner of Superman and The Omen fame. Quite the versatile director there, and I can understand why a number of people rate Richard Donner as one of the best directors ever. The film was released on March 6, 1987. The Dave Meltzer of the movie world, Roger Ebert, gave it 4 stars out of 4. PMDB and IMDb weren't so convinced. We only give it 7.6 out of 10, so not quite a full 4 stars out of 4 stars. But this is still a really good film, verging on greatness. But rewatching it, I remember it being a little bit better. This film stars Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, whom of course would star in all 4 Lethal Weapon films. It wasn't the great action sequences and great fight scenes that made the Lethal Weapon films work the best. It was the chemistry. It was a team up between Mel Gibson and Danny Glover here playing Martin Riggs and Roger Murtaugh. The unlikely duo of Martin and Roger come together at the start of the film. Martin Riggs is on the edge of life following his wife's death from 3 years earlier, and Roger is contemplating retirement from the LAPD. I'm so glad no one's going to watch this and notice all my mistakes I'm going to make during the course of this video. The bad guys of this movie are Peter McAllister, not Kevin McAllister's dad from the Home Alone series, no. Although, quite a wee strange connection here, so to speak, since, Joe Pesci, who would play one of the burglars in Home Alone in 1990, would appear in the Lethal Weapon films as well, 2, 3, and 4, and yeah, quite the connection here. We've also got a Halloween connection here in the Lethal Weapon 1 film. Peter McAllister, played by Mitchell Ryan, would later appear in Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. And we have Tom Atkins in this film as well. He plays a character named Michael. He's not in it for too long, but of course Tom Atkins was in Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. The other notable villain in this film is Mr. Joshua, who has quite the fight scene with Mel Gibson's character Martin Riggs at the end here. Arguably one of the best fight scenes in the entire series of Lethal Weapon, only to be topped later by the fight scene involving Jet Li, which of course I'll get onto in Lethal Weapon 4. Also, looking back at my notes, I actually gave Lethal Weapon a 7.7 out of 10, not a 7.6. The movie ends with Martin Riggs and Roger Murtaugh spending Christmas together, and the Murtaugh family in all 4 films are very likable lot, and it just it feels like it's a real family. Overall, it's a very entertaining, solid, emotionally driven film, and it is downhill from here as far as the Lethal Weapon series goes. However, the fall isn't that great. All films are above 6.0 rating, and you don't really see that often with film series. It's hard to find a film franchise out there that doesn't have a Batman and Robin dud or a Halloween Resurrection dud somewhere in the series. So it's quite remarkable that all 4 films are above average viewing. Okay, here we go. One, two. Wait. We do it on three, or one, two, three, then on three. On three. Ready? One, two, three. Let me read you the film plot, the official film plot for this film. South African smugglers find themselves being hounded and harassed by Riggs and Murtaugh, two mismatched Los Angeles police officers. However, the South Africans are protected by diplomatic immunity, and so the two are assigned to witness protection duty in an attempt by their captain to keep his job. It is only when this witness reveals to them that he has already dealt with the smugglers that the trouble really starts. See, to me, that official plot doesn't sell this movie at all, doesn't sound interesting to me. If I had never seen this film before, I'd be like, I think I'll skip this one. Lethal Weapon 2, which was took place 2 years later, released over 2 years later from the first film. It's at times it feels a better film than the original, but a couple of things to bring the film down is the lackluster ending, and well, gotta be said, some lackluster villains. Apparently, it had two different endings, Lethal Weapon 2. There was one shot where Mel Gibson's character, Martin Riggs, was actually going to be killed off in Lethal Weapon 2. One of the positives of the film, though, and one of the highlights throughout the series, is the introduction of the character Leo Goetz, played by Joe Pesci. I always feel like when I say his surname, I'm saying a rude word almost. Pesci. Anyways, the whole chemistry, the partnership between Riggs and Murtaugh works so well. There was no really requirement for more characters to be introduced, but Joe plays Leo so well, and you miss him when he's not on the screen. He really adds to the Lethal Weapon franchise, and I remember reading about his appearance in Lethal Weapon 4, and it was not well received by some people out there that seen it and called his performance a bit of a disaster. But I disagree. I thought Joe Pesci was great, highly entertaining in all three of his appearances in the Lethal Weapon films. I gave this overall film a rating of 6.7. It's a drop down from Lethal Weapon 1, but like I say, it feels better at times in some of the more comical action scenes which work. Bob, will I cut the red or blue wire? Bob, grab the bear! Lethal Weapon 3 arrived almost 3 years after Lethal Weapon 2, and in my opinion, it's the weakest of the entire Lethal Weapon franchise. But it's still an above average movie. However, I feel the film starts off very promising. It's got some of arguably the best action scenes throughout the series, but it goes to quite a dark spot, and we lose Roger Murtaugh for a few scenes in this movie. And what makes Lethal Weapon work is the chemistry between Martin Riggs and Roger Murtaugh. When Roger Murtaugh is not in the movie, Mel Gibson's character doesn't work as well himself or with someone else, and it brings the movie down, in my opinion. And then once again, the villains really are quite forgettable and throwaway, despite the action scenes being good. And that's why, in my opinion, 4 beats 3, because in 4 they have, well, one great villain, but he's very, very good. We'll get on to him soon. So yeah, Lethal Weapon 3 had potential to be the best in the series, but by the end of it, you feel slightly disappointed. 6.3 out of 10.
Rihanna's what? Pregnant? She's not even married.
The final ever movie installment of the Lethal Weapon series, Lethal Weapon 4, came out on July 10th of 1998. I remember watching Raw as War, and a TV commercial came on for Lethal Weapon. It was the scene where the car smashes into this gigantic building. They go through the offices and it smashes out the other side. It looked like one hell of an action film when I seen that TV commercial. That's still one of the best action scenes I've ever seen in any film. I don't think it's ever been topped. So Lethal Weapon 4 certainly doesn't drop the pace in regards to action. Probably the most action-packed Lethal Weapon film there is. It marks the international film debut of Jet Li, who plays the main villain in this movie, and he is absolutely excellent in the fight scenes. He's a martial arts expert, of course, and he is just born to play a villain in a film franchise like this. I love the ending, the fight scene between Jet Li's character and Martin Riggs and Danny Glover's character, Murtaugh. Murtaugh looks like he's really just had enough of Lee's character and he's really going for it, and Mel Gibson's going for it too. Awesome, awesome stuff here. Chris Rock is also in this movie, and he really plays off well against Joe Pesci's character, Leo Goetz, in this film, whom, of course, returns once again. And Lethal Weapon 4 really relies on a comedy throughout this film. It kind of verges on self-parody at points, I will admit, and it kind of brings the film down, but some of the comedy spots, especially the scene with the shark, Murtaugh, and Leo Goetz at the start of the movie, is a very amusing stuff. And it's quite a warming movie when you get to the end. Spoiler alert! And they're all taking a picture in the hospital of their families, and that scene, we're not friends, we're family, when Murtaugh and Riggs' family are all together with Leo Goetz. It's quite a nice ending to a film series, and it pulls out your heartstrings for sure. A lot of people knock this film and think it's the worst of the Lethal Weapon franchise. I don't think it's a bad movie. As I say, I rate all the Lethal Weapon films a 6.0 and above. And in my reply, when people say Lethal Weapon 4 is the worst of the Lethal Weapon series, I say, have you seen Lethal Weapon 3? Meow.